Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. Today I am with another cool little bike. This is my next project, and it is Suzuki's 1982 GS650G. And I just rolled this bike off the trailer last night. In just a minute, I'm going to do a little bit of a walk around here to show you guys what I'm starting with. This bike overall is in nice condition, but there's definitely some things that need to be addressed, and we'll take a look at what those are. Suzuki GS line of motorcycles is one of my favorite lineups of motorcycles across the board. I've never ridden Suzuki's GS650G, and so I'm going to bring the camera along and we'll go on a first test drive of this bike in a future episode. Some cool features on the GS650G. If we start at the front, it does have big dual disc brakes up front, and that's rare on a smaller bike like this, so that's a really nice feature. It does have the air assist forks up front. That's common. As far as instrumentation goes, this bike has a big speedometer, a big tachometer. It also has a gear indicator and a fuel gauge, and it's super rare to have this on big bikes and even more rare to have that instrumentation on a smaller bike, especially the gear indicator and the fuel gauge. The motor is a 650cc inline 4-cylinder motor. It breathes through 4 constant velocity carbs. I'm a big fan of these constant velocity carbs. They fuel very efficiently and very nicely, and I really like those. This bike has dual exhaust. It also has conventional shocks in the rear, but it has damping adjustment as well, and that's another nice feature on a bike of this price range. This bike has a big single disc brake out back with a single piston caliper, and it also has shaft final drive. That's not something that's super common on a bike in this size range. I know Yamaha had an inline 4-cylinder Seika 650, which was also a nice bike. I've ridden one of those, but again, I've not ridden this one and I'm looking forward to it. Let's take a look around the bike and see what we will be starting with. Starting at the front wheel, the tires on this bike are in excellent condition. They look to be a brand new set of Dunlop tires. I've inspected the front brake pads. Those also look like they're just about new, so that's nice. Cosmetically, the pinstriping on the front fender needs to be replaced. I don't think that's under a clear coat, so I might be able to remove that. That would be great if I can do that. Looking directly at the front of the bike, you can see that the turn signals are at odd angles here. And that is due to a bent bracket, and what I'll do is I'll pull that off and gently straighten that. We can also see that the brake lever is bent slightly upwards, and I'll have to address that and straighten out my master cylinder. I'll also check the handlebars to make sure that they're straight as well. The exhaust pipes themselves look really nice. They just need some cleanup here. I will make sure that these exhaust bolts aren't seized in the head, and I will go ahead and touch those up and repaint those silver, and so those should look fine. The exhaust pipes themselves look to be in pretty decent condition overall, even the mufflers, so that's a great sign. There is some peeling of the clear coat on the cases. It's not horrific, but it definitely could be addressed. There's a little bit more corrosion on the cases on this side of the bike, and unfortunately that is where there have been pinholes in the clear coat and the aluminum underneath has started to oxidize. Really the only solution for this is to pull these cases off and polish them out. They'll look nice, it's just a lot of work. The foot peg on the right side of the bike is bent upwards and a little bit forwards, so that will need to be straightened out and bent back into shape. The paintwork on the tank of the bike looks really nice. The inside of the gas tank is also very, very clean. That's a great indication there. The seat on this bike has had some repair work done, and I don't think it was done by a professional. Looks a little bit odd here, so I'll have that taken care of. Looking at the carburetor intake boots, they look good, but they're not pushed on fully, so I'll have to rectify that. You can also see the clamp securing the backside of the carburetor is on upside down, and it's not oriented properly, so I'm going to need to pull these carbs off, reorient everything, and make sure that that's all good to go, and there are no air leaks there. Overall, I don't see any oil leaks on this bike. The engine looks clean. There's no valve cover weepage, there's no head gasket weepage or base gasket weepage. And you can really get into a lot of expense if you've got a weepy head gasket or base gasket on one of these classic bikes. Thankfully, this one is clean. Looking at the back of the bike, the rear brake pads are good, and the rear tire also looks to be brand new. All right, mechanically this bike seems to be in fairly solid shape already. Bikes like this are a great starting place for a mild restoration. Nothing super crazy, but there's a lot of small areas on this bike that need to be addressed, but once they are addressed, it's really going to be a really nice, very solid runner. I almost never buy bikes that are in horrible cosmetic shape. Cosmetics is really an area where you can also spend tons and tons of money. If you're gonna buy a classic bike, I would recommend buying one that is already in decent shape. If you can buy one that runs, that also eliminates a lot of guesswork. Now, as I said, I haven't ridden this bike and I took a chance on that, but we'll find out how it runs in a future episode, so stay tuned. Well, the sun's coming up and it is time to get to work. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, enjoy the ride.